In a story that reads like a movie script, 6 men found themselves entangled in a web of crime that spans states, exploiting the very fabric of American commerce. At the heart of this tale is Frederick Peter Pro, also known by the name he was born with, Alfredo Proc. His journey from Philadelphia to becoming a fugitive highlights not just the reach of federal law enforcement, but also the complexities of financial crime in the late 1970s. It all began when Pro, along with 5 others, embarked on an audacious scheme to steal and transport property across state lines, blending fraud with conspiracy. The victims were not just individuals, but the very systems designed to keep commerce honest. By October 1977, the FBI had pieced together enough evidence to issue arrest warrants, setting the stage for a high-stakes manhunt. Frederick Peter Pro, born on August 3, 1926 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, was the key figure. Known as Fred to friends and foes alike, he was no stranger to the business world. With a background as a financial consultant and a stint as a vice president in major companies, Pro had the credentials to make his scheme believable. However, it was his true name, Alfredo Proc, which was erroneously listed on his birth certificate. That might have been his first slip. Pro was not alone. J. Lawrence Wolfson, Raymond W. Bassner, Roy Everett Smith, Philip Carl Kitzer Jr., and Gabriel Robert Caggiano rounded out the group. Each played a role in the intricate plan, which involved the interstate transportation of stolen property and mail and wire fraud. They targeted not just goods, but the trust that underpins financial transactions. On October 18, 1977, Pro's carefully laid plans began to unravel. Arrested in New York City, he appeared before a federal judge in Memphis, Tennessee, on October 31, 1977. The judge, understanding the gravity of the charges, including conspiracy, fraud, and interstate transportation of stolen property, set bail at an astronomical $100,000. Pro was given 48 hours to gather the funds, a nearly impossible task for most. His lawyer, Lawrence Jeffrey Weingard, sought to reduce the bail, arguing that Pro's name on the birth certificate was a mistake. Pro himself was allowed to maintain contact with his pre-trial services in New York while awaiting his Memphis hearing. This arrangement underscored the complexities of the legal system, where every detail, even a typo on a birth certificate, could influence a person's freedom. Despite the legal hurdles, Pro managed to evade capture for a short while. His alias, Frederick Peter Pro, helped him blend into the shadows. However, his time on the run was limited. On October 21, 1977, he finally appeared in Memphis, pleading not guilty to all charges. Represented by Weingard, Pro's strategy shifted from evasion to legal battle. Pro's history was as colorful as his criminal activities. A veteran of the armed forces, he had also dabbled in business ventures, including running companies like Trident Consortium and International Photographers Association. Yet these accomplishments paled in comparison to his current predicament. Pro's case was part of a larger pattern of crimes that highlighted the vulnerabilities in the financial and transportation systems of the time. Mail fraud and interstate transportation of stolen goods were not just buzzwords, they represented real harm to individuals and businesses. The FBI's involvement showed how serious these crimes were taken, with resources devoted to tracking down those who dared to exploit the system. As Pro faced his charges, the case also shed light on the broader issues of financial crime and the lengths to which individuals would go when tempted by easy money. The complex web of conspiracy and fraud underscored the importance of vigilance and the constant battle law enforcement faces against those who seek to undermine the system. In the end, Pro's story is more than just a tale of one man's flight from justice. It serves as a reminder of the intricate dance between crime and law enforcement, a dance that continues to unfold in the shadows of our modern world. In 1977, a complex case unfolded involving several individuals accused of orchestrating a large-scale fraud against musician Elvis Presley. At the center of this case was Frederick Pro, along with associates J. Laurence W. Lfson, Raymond Bassener, Gabriel Robert Cagino, Roy Everett Smith, and Philip Karlkitzer, Jr. The scheme was designed to swindle money and property from Presley, using deception and false documents. To understand how this fraud was carried out, let's break down the key elements. Pro and his accomplices created a fake company, Air Cargo Express, Inc., and another entity, Span East Airlines, Inc., to mask their true identities and intentions. They targeted Elvis Presley, leveraging his fame and wealth. The plan was to sell Presley an aircraft he already owned, using false promises and documents to make it seem like a legitimate transaction. The deception started when Pro sold Presley's Lockheed Jetstar aircraft to a company called WWP Aircraft Leasing Corporation. This company then leased the plane back to Presley at an exorbitant rental rate. At the same time, Pro subleased the aircraft to Air Cargo Express for a much higher monthly rate. This created a layer of complexity, making it harder for Presley to see the true cost and nature of the transactions. One crucial piece of the fraud was the creation of false financial documents. Bassener, acting as the head of World Aircraft Exchange, Inc., and Cagino, who was both an attorney and a part owner of the company, failed to disclose their relationship with Pro to Presley's lawyer. They prepared fake invoices and issued worthless checks to Presley, totaling hundreds of thousands of dollars. These checks were supposed to cover the costs of upgrading the aircraft, but since no actual work was done, they were completely fabricated. The fraud didn't stop there. Pro and his associates, including WLFSON, Cagino, and Kitzer, made false statements over the mail, violating federal laws. They sent misleading letters and telegrams to Presley's attorney, Charles H. Davis, further complicating the situation and hiding the truth. For instance, they falsely claimed that Air Cargo Express had a large account with a London bank, which was entirely fabricated. The transportation of cash was another key aspect of their scheme. Cashier's checks, which are guaranteed by a bank, were used to move large sums of money across states. These checks were supposed to be used for legitimate purposes like upgrading the aircraft, but instead, they were part of the elaborate deception. Checks totaling hundreds of thousands of dollars were moved around from Memphis to Florida and back, always under the guise of legitimate business transactions. The impact on Presley was significant. He was tricked into believing he was making a sound business deal, only to find out that the checks he received were worthless. This not only cost him substantial money, but also damaged his reputation and financial standing. The use of stolen property, specifically the aircraft, added another layer of illegality to the scheme, making it an interstate transportation of stolen property case. The legal proceedings against Pro and his associates were complex, involving multiple counts of fraud and violations of federal law. Each count represented a different aspect of their deceitful activities. For example, one count involved the fraudulent transportation of checks across state lines, while another dealt with the interstate transportation of stolen property, referring to the aircraft. As the case unfolded, law enforcement worked diligently to piece together the web of lies. Evidence of the fraud was gathered, including the false documents, worthless checks, and testimonies from those involved. The case highlighted the importance of due diligence in business transactions, especially when dealing with high-value assets and prominent figures. In the end, the indictment outlined a clear picture of a well-orchestrated fraud involving multiple individuals and companies. The case against Pro and his accomplices demonstrated how a combination of greed, deceit, and sophisticated planning can lead to significant legal consequences. The trial served as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition and the importance of verifying the legitimacy of business deals. In this complex legal situation, several individuals were involved in serious crimes primarily revolving around fraud and conspiracy. The story begins with two phone conversations and a telex message between two men, Roy Smith and D. Beecher Smith, III, occurring around August 27, 1976. These communications were illegal, violating laws against fraud by wire, which is a serious offense covered in the U.S. Code. As the investigation unfolded, more communications between Miami and Memphis during September 1976 came to light. These talks, along with others in late September and early October 1976, showed further violations of the same fraud laws. These actions involved people trying to deceive others using telephone and telex communications. A crucial part of the case involved Philip Carl Kitzler. He was arrested in Miami in October 1977, suspected of being part of a larger conspiracy. This was not just about Kitzler. The conspiracy included others like Roy E. Smith, Lawrence Wolfson, and Raymond W. Bassner. All were accused of illegal activities, including fraud and conspiracy, spanning several months in 1976. The legal process moved swiftly once arrests were made. Indictments were sealed, meaning they were kept private until the U.S. attorney asked to make them public. This happened after Kitzler's arrest, leading to his immediate arrest and the unsealing of the indictment. The authorities moved fast to arrest other suspects, including Wolfson and Bassner, who were caught in Miami and New York respectively. Raymond W. Bassner surrendered to the FBI in October 1977, appearing in court where he was released on a $10,000 bond. He had a lawyer, Vincent Flynn, who helped him avoid a formal removal hearing. Kitzler also had his bond set but had to attend an identity hearing, after which he was held in a federal correctional institute in Florida. Frederick W. Pro, another key figure, was arrested around the same time in New York. Pro, who had connections to various businesses, entered a not guilty plea. He faced serious charges, but through his attorney, he managed to reduce his bond from $100,000 to $75,000. Pro's case was complicated by allegations about his past and some money seized by the FBI, which was under scrutiny. The legal journey for these individuals was marked by hearings, bond adjustments, and conditions on their freedom. For example, Pro was allowed to stay in certain areas and had to inform authorities in advance if he wanted to travel. His passport was kept by the U.S., and he had specific rules about leaving Florida. This case highlights the serious nature of fraud and conspiracy involving wire communications. It shows how law enforcement can work across different locations to investigate and prosecute such crimes. From the initial illegal phone calls to the complex web of arrests and legal battles, it's a story of law enforcement tackling organized crime one step at a time. Each arrest and legal proceeding was a piece in the larger puzzle to bring these individuals to justice for their fraudulent activities.